To start using Calc 123, the first thing you will need is a working spreadsheet. The software and tech you are working from may mean that some Microsoft Excel features may be different, but hopefully this video will give you the basic idea. If you have any specific questions, feel free to send inquiries through the form below. Using Excel, you will have a working spreadsheet that will help your business function. We'll assume you have basic skills, and we will demonstrate the creation of the type of spreadsheet that would be enhanced by Calc 123 and presented as a web form. We'll just be using some really basic commands in Excel to show how we can put a product catalogue together for, say, a floor covering store with some basic prices, and we'll build what will look like an invoice template. Ultimately, we are demonstrating the sorts of calculations that the user will be interacting with. For an online calculator for this fictional floor covering store, we want the customer to select a room they might want to put floor covering in, the type of floor covering, and the amount. There are multiple products with varying prices, and this spreadsheet will help to find the customer's needs, taking into account complicated formulas and factoring in the GST. With these kinds of spreadsheets, things can get very complicated, and all these complications are the business logic that are abstracted from the user. So if we wanted other staff members of our company to use this spreadsheet to do calculations for customers, we would only give them the first form to look at. We wouldn't give them the entire product list and other detailed formulas. And often we get our product list from external third parties anyway. For this demonstration, I'm going to make up a table and put some basic pricing in there. And what we put in there, which is our pricing, is hidden and secure because we only display need-to-know information in Calc 123, which is the input cells. We don't display calculations or prices. The customers don't get access to the full product list, which would be exposing your IP. So, without further ado, first thing we'll do is rename this Sheet 2 tab to become Product List, and we'll create a product list. Here's one I prepared earlier. I'll just paste it in. It's a very, very simple list. It lists 5 different products, which are floor covering products, and 5 different prices, which is the installation price. We could put in other columns for the installation, which is different than the cost of the product itself, but we'll keep this simple. So here's our simple product list. Now, to make this usable in formulas, it's good practice to name this whole table Prod List. And we do this by using the name manager, which is the cell in the left-hand corner here, and this is technically called the name box. So when I highlight a single cell, you'll see B3 here or C5 here, depending on which cell. But when I select the entire range, it's now Prod List. So whenever you see Prod List, it refers to that group of cells. If we insert rows here, we can add new products, and they'll still be in the bounds of that list by that selection there. So this could be Lino Plus, and it has to be more expensive than basic Lino. All right, that will do for the product list. To make a basic invoice style, the goal is to get some basic information from our customer and feed back to them the estimate price. So the first thing we'll ask is where they would like this floor covering installed. So that might be the living room, and we'll ask them what the product is and the quantity, how many meters. So that would be meters squared. We need a price, which is price per meter, and we'll add in the GST as well, and we'll do the total. And this is on a single line item. We may later add multiple line items because they might want to do multiple rooms with multiple floor coverings, but we are going to keep things very simple at the moment. And the product is going to be carpet, and we're doing 25 meters of carpet in the living room. And the GST is 10%, and we'll do 90 times 0.1. And whilst that works, it's not good practice to hard code the formulas. So what we'll do is pop in a reference up here to provide a reference. So GST is 10% or 0.10, and we can put the percent sign in so that's clear. We're going to give that cell a name, so using the name manager again, and I'm calling it GST. So now the GST, instead of being hard-coded to 0.1, is now equal to. So if we change that to 12%, you'll see the price is now changed. All right, so I'll undo that. The GST is 10% at the moment. Now we're going to do the total, which is the base price plus the GST. And these are all currency fields, so there's our price, $99. Now the problem is here, if I typed in lino, I've changed my mind. The sheet says it's still $90. And so we want to bind this selection here to the list of products we have in the other sheet. So the price should also be bound to the price in the sheet on the other tab. So the first thing we'll do is we'll bind this product by going into Data, Data Validation, Select List. We're going to now choose the list which is here. So you can see that's now restricted. This means the value in that cell must be one of the values in that list. You can't enter anything else, so it's bound to that product list. Now that we know it's bound to the list, instead of typing in the price, we can do a basic lookup, which is VLOOKUP. And we're going to look up the value in the prod list we created earlier. Prod list, and we're going to get column 2 like this, and that's now $95 from that lookup. So if we change this from carpet through to timber, it automatically changes the price, and away we go. We could now put subtotals at the bottom. On an invoice, you might summarize this list down here for all the line items. In this example, we need to ask the customer 2 things. We want to know what type of product they want and how many square meters they need. And if there are multiple queries for the one customer, we could extend and copy this down. And if they wanted carpet in the bedroom, you can't type it in because you have to choose the option. And this time we'll do just 16 meters of carpet. And it calculates so that you would just have a summary of these, and that would be the total. And you can easily change any of these amounts because it's all formula driven. The concept here is to keep the formulas, which is your IP, in your Excel spreadsheet, and you're only going to expose those 2 cells. This one is a reference, it's optional, and if we were to produce an invoice for this, then you would need to provide some reference for the customer to let them know we've noted timber in the living room and not just any old room. And that completes our demonstration for a basic Excel spreadsheet that would work with Calc 123. As I said before, if you have any specific questions, feel free to send queries through the form below.